1970, Yungay, Peru, a glacier groans as ice cracks above the town. The Delgado family huddles in a basement, unaware of the 20,000 lives about to be lost. Yet a glacier's collapse is only the beginning. 200 million tons of snow follow. The avalanche buries the town in seconds, obliterating homes, schools, and churches. Against impossible odds, the Delgados survive their story, a testament to resilience. One family survives in a school basement, a school built on a landslide zone. No one thought it would matter. May 31, 1970. An earthquake triggers a disaster no one saw coming. At 3,000 p.m., a magnitude 7.7 earthquake struck the Ancash region, Peru, shaking the Andes with a force that would bury a town. The epicenter was near Nevado Huascarán, a glacier that had loomed over Yungay for decades, its ice sheets pressing against unstable slopes. Yungay, a valley town of 6,000, was nestled in a death trap, its homes carved into the very rock that would soon crush them. Urban planners had ignored the risks, and President Fernando Belaúnde Terry's government lacked the infrastructure to respond. The earthquake's vibrations were the final straw. The glacier collapsed, sending a 150 million cubic meter avalanche of ice, rock, and debris tumbling down at over 100 miles per hour. The valley below became a graveyard. Entire neighborhoods vanished. The church of Yungay was buried under 20 meters of rubble. Survivors described a deafening roar, the sky darkening with snow, and the ground trembling like a living thing. Amid the chaos, one story would emerge: the Pacheco family trapped in the basement of Colegio San José, a school built on a landslide zone with concrete slabs no one expected to save lives. The avalanche's path was a death sentence for most, but for them, it was a lifeline. The Pacheco family huddled in the basement of Colegio San José, their only light a flickering candle. José Antonio Pacheco, a school teacher, clutched his wife's hand as the tremors intensified. The school's upper floors groaned and cracked, collapsing in a cascade of concrete and stone. The air grew thick with dust, and the temperature plummeted as the avalanche's icy breath seeped through the walls. For hours, the family remained silent, their ears ringing with the deafening roar of destruction above. Outside, the valley was a wasteland, homes buried under meters of debris, the church of Yungay swallowed whole, and the once bustling streets now eerily still. Yet, the basement's reinforced concrete slabs, installed during construction on a former landslide zone, had become an unexpected sanctuary. The slabs absorbed the brunt of the avalanche's force, slowing its descent and preventing the basement from being crushed. The Pacheco's children, frightened but resilient, whispered prayers to the Virgin of the Immaculate Conception, a common practice in Peruvian Catholic households. José Antonio, ever the educator, tried to calm his family by reciting poetry, his voice trembling but steady. As the hours stretched into days, the family's survival hinged on a fragile hope that rescuers would find them before their supplies ran out. They rationed a single bottle of water and a small loaf of bread, their stomachs growling in the cold. The candle burned low, its light fading to a dim glow. Above them, the mountain still groaned, its icy heart unrelenting. The world outside had vanished, until the distant sound of helicopters pierced the silence, a fragile thread of salvation in the abyss. The avalanche roared down the mountain like a beast unleashed, a wall of ice and stone tearing through the valley with relentless fury. The air turned to a blizzard of shattered rock and glacial debris, swallowing the town of Yungay in an instant. Homes crumbled as the avalanche surged forward, burying streets, markets, and the church of Yungay under 20 meters of rubble. Survivors later described the moment as a sound like the end of the world, a deafening crash that shook the earth and silenced the town in seconds. José Antonio Pacheco's hands trembled as he pressed his wife's hand tighter. Their children huddled close in the basement of Colegio San José. The school's upper floors groaned and cracked, collapsing in a cascade of concrete and stone. The basement, however, held a lifeline forged by the concrete slabs installed during construction on a former landslide zone. These slabs, a minor engineering choice at the time, absorbed the avalanche's force, slowing its descent and preventing the basement from being crushed. For hours, the Pachecos were trapped in the darkness, their only light a flickering candle. The temperature plummeted as the avalanche's icy breath seeped through the walls, and the air grew thick with dust. Outside, the valley was a wasteland. Entire neighborhoods vanished, their remnants buried under tons of debris. The church of Yungay, once a beacon of the town, was swallowed whole. Survivors who emerged later spoke of a landscape transformed into a graveyard, with only the faint outlines of buildings visible beneath the snow and rock. The Pacheco family's survival hinged on a fragile hope that rescuers would find them before their supplies ran out. They rationed a single bottle of water and a small loaf of bread, their stomachs growling in the cold. The candle burned low, its light fading to a dim glow above them. The mountain still groaned, its icy heart unrelenting. The world outside had vanished until the distant sound of helicopters pierced the silence, a fragile thread of salvation in the abyss. Rescue teams arrived days after the avalanche, their efforts hampered by the sheer scale of destruction. Military helicopters scoured the valley, dropping supplies to survivors trapped beneath tons of ice and rock. Volunteers from nearby towns, armed with shovels and sheer determination, dug through the rubble, their hands bleeding from the relentless work. The Pacheco family was among the first survivors located. Their survival, a miracle in a town where 20,000 had died. Jose Antonio Pacheco's voice, weak but clear, was the first to echo through the chaos. "We're here. We're alive." International aid poured in, with the Red Cross and UN agencies establishing temporary shelters for the displaced. Tents lined the outskirts of Yungay, their canvas flapping in the high-altitude wind. Food, water, and medical supplies arrived by air, but the human cost was staggering. Survivors described the valley as a graveyard, their homes reduced to skeletal remains buried under meters of debris. The church of Yungay, once a beacon of the town, was swallowed whole. The Peruvian National Institute of Civil Defense coordinated recovery efforts, but the government's response was strained. Infrastructure was limited, and the economic impact on Peru's agricultural sector was profound, though exact figures remain undocumented. Reconstruction began slowly, hindered by the psychological scars of the disaster. By late 1970, the survivors faced a grim reality. Yungay was uninhabitable. The government declared the town officially abandoned in 1971, relocating its population to Nuevo Yungay, a new settlement built on higher ground. Yet, from the ruins emerged a new resolve. Indecky's establishment marked a turning point, mandating stricter building codes in landslide-prone areas. The Pacheco family's story, preserved in local museums and oral histories, became a symbol of resilience. Their survival was not just a miracle, it was a lesson. The concrete slabs of Colegio San José, once a minor engineering choice, had become a lifeline. As the valley lay silent, the echoes of the avalanche remained, a stark reminder of nature's power and humanity's fragility. The avalanche's legacy extends far beyond Yungay. In the decades following the disaster, scientists from Peru and abroad scrutinized Nevado Huascarán's glacier, uncovering how seismic activity could trigger glacial instability. Researchers from the Peruvian Institute of Nuclear Energy and international geologists mapped the avalanche's path, identifying critical zones where future disasters could be mitigated. Their findings reshaped engineering practices in the Andes, leading to the creation of early warning systems for glacial lake outburst floods, a phenomenon now recognized as a growing threat due to climate change. In Yungay's new home, Nuevo Yungay, the Pacheco family's story became a cornerstone of local education. Schools teach children about the 1970 disaster, using the family's survival as a case study in resilience. José Antonio Pacheco's handwritten journal, preserved in a museum, details the family's ordeal. We held hands and whispered prayers, knowing the world above us was ending. His words are displayed beside a model of Colegio San Jose's basement, its concrete slabs labeled as the difference between life and death. The disaster also spurred a cultural reckoning. In Andean folklore, the avalanche is now a cautionary tale, passed down in stories that warn against ignoring nature's warnings. Elders speak of the glacier's angry breath, a metaphor for the mountain's power. Meanwhile, Indequi's policies, once criticized for their slow response, have evolved into a model for disaster preparedness across Latin America. Yet, challenges remain. In 2026, glacial lakes near Nevado Huascarán continue to swell, threatening communities downstream. The Pacheco family's survival is a reminder that while infrastructure and education can save lives, the mountain's wrath is still unpredictable. Their story, etched into stone and memory, ensures that Yungay's tragedy will never be forgotten.